What was your first impression of Michelle's speech when she came back into the room? I feel like she was just gliding down those steps.
Oh my gosh.
I'm surprised like no one tripped. I would have ate shit walking down those stairs. But she like glides down those stairs and gives this beautiful first speech. What was your first impression of that?
Yeah, no, it was awesome, right? Like obviously she talked about her family. Like something that really stuck out to me was talking about her parents being together for 33 years, and that's goals, right? Like that's just beautiful. Like that's what like everybody aims for. Nobody aims for, getting married and soon after going through a divorce, right? And so I'm sitting there, I'm listening to it. I'm like, that's so beautiful. That's definitely like what I'm looking for. Is that type of relationship, that like bond. And I'm like, okay, so here I am. My parents got divorced when I was 4. My mom and my stepdad, they just recently went through a divorce within the last like 2 years. And I'm like, dang, like I can't relate. I want to relate, but I can't relate. And so that was actually, I think that's like one of the first things that we talked about together was I just kind of opened up a little bit about my family dynamic. Like I have such an amazing family. But the whole like that happily ever after and like, marriages that don't end in divorce, that just wasn't a part of kind of like me growing up and whatnot. So that was like, I think our first conversation together was just talking a little bit more family because it was definitely a little like nerve wracking, right? Like she's like this crazy family oriented person. She has that perfect example from her parents. And I guess I didn't really have that. So it was a little like intimidating at first. And I just wanted to get off my chest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you kind of saw that in you guys' first conversation where you're like, no, I don't really want to dive into this, or like, I really don't want to talk about it. But did it feel good to kind of have her say like, no, this is like what I want you to talk about. And it doesn't scare me away. Like I want to hear about your dynamic.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Michelle definitely has that like quality that like calms you down. She has like a really calming presence, right? Mm-hmm. It was nice. It was cool. It was a nice first conversation.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I said before we had you on is that it seemed like you both kind of, I like that you said she had a calming presence because I said that about you to her. Mm-hmm. Like you just seem, especially in the midst of so much craziness in night one where there's 30 plus men and, everyone's already kind of on edge and nervous. You don't quite know what to expect. I felt like when you two sat down, it was actually a really beautiful thing. Like as a viewer, I could tell she was drawn to you. And I feel like you both kind of just leveled each other out a bit in the midst of all that chaos and just like were very hyper focused on one another in those moments, which was special.